Welcome to Queer Cinema Catchup's monthly video essay series. I'm Allison, and 'tis the season. If by season you mean the newest and final season of Stranger Things, the first 3 episodes of which are now streaming on Netflix, with more to follow on Christmas and New Year's. In preparation for this last season, I've been rewatching the older seasons and was reminded just how much I love the character of Robin's coming out scene in season 3, episode 7, The Bite, which aired on July 4th, 2019, about a month or so after I came out for the very first time to some friends. Perhaps the scene's proximity to my own coming out experience explains my affinity for this TV moment, but I think it's actually a genuinely standout scene. No one wants queer narratives to focus solely on identity formation or coming out. And yes, it would be great if coming out wasn't even necessarily a big deal, like I talked about in another video essay last month. Nevertheless, this TV moment makes me champion the coming out scene as a writerly trope that can feel fresh, cathartic, and emblematic of the series as a whole, if the writers in question subvert expectations, pointing us in the direction of what makes great TV, full stop. What do I mean by that? I'd like to point to what I think is the greatest example of the coming out trope turned on its head, found in season 5, episode 11 of Schitt's Creek, Meet the Parents, where David Rose plans a birthday surprise party for his partner Patrick and invites Patrick's parents, not realizing that said parents do not yet know their son is dating a man. Such a premise feels loaded with tension and conflict. Will the out David be angry that his partner is still in the closet, hiding their relationship? Will Patrick's parents have a bad reaction to Patrick being gay? The answer is no, because creator and star Dan Levy made it a point to create a unique coming out narrative, a twist on the typical homophobia and rejection and hurt lovers we've come to expect from these kinds of storylines. Levy has been quoted as saying this was not easy, describing it as a, quote, daunting task and, quote, the most challenging episode I've written in the entirety of the season, end quote. The twist on coming out that Levy wound up constructing is as follows. 1, Patrick isn't out to his parents. 2, the parents accidentally find out he's gay before he tells them. But 3, Patrick's parents are upset not because Patrick is gay, but because they're wondering, to quote Levy again, how did we not create a space comfortable enough for him to feel open and free to tell us? Then, on top of their disappointment in themselves, Patrick's parents, along with David, then 4, collude to pretend they still don't know the truth so that Patrick can have his own coming out moment, a moment that is tender and loving and in front of a whole group of people who already know Patrick's parents will react with love. It's A-plus TV because it's unexpected and yet perfectly suited to the world of the show. In fact, the whole series subverts our expectations in a similar way by existing within a small, unsophisticated town, Schitt's Creek, that isn't ever plagued by the bigotry, homophobia, or intolerance we might expect in a place like that. This was also an intentional choice, according to Levy, because he sees his show as, quote, a celebration of love. It's unexpected and surprising when coming out tension doesn't come from negative reactions, but loving ones. Just as it's unexpected and surprising when the townies of Schitt's Creek aren't homophobic and indeed embrace the initially snobby Roses as their own, forcing the Roses to change into the loving beings they are deep down inside in the process. Herein lies the key to great TV, great story in general. Surprise. The unexpected keeps us guessing, keeps us invested, makes us laugh, as in comedies like Schitt's Creek, and makes us gasp, as in other genres, including the horror sci-fi series Stranger Things. So let's bring it back to Robin's coming out scene, and why I think it's emblematic of excellent television writing. To summarize the scene, Robin comes out to another character, Steve, after the two have been given truth serum by, and then escape from, a group of Russians who are trying to reopen the gate to the otherworldly Upside Down. To give you even more context on Steve and Robin's dynamic, before they began to fight Russians together, the two were coworkers at a mall ice cream shop, same energy as, say, Luke and Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. Luke was once upon a time the coolest guy from your high school, and Lorelai was once upon a time the quirky weird girl. If said quirks weren't seen as charming as they are in the Gilmore universe, but strange as in nerd, as in the same loser identity we're supposed to believe the younger characters like Dustin embody in the show. The scene in question goes something like this. While hiding out in the bathroom of the mall's movie theater from the Russians, whose secret lair is naturally beneath the mall, Robin asks Steve if he's ever been in love, prompting Steve to reveal that he was once in love with the good girl Nancy Wheeler, but now has his eyes on someone else. Someone who is, quote, a little bit better for him, somebody he didn't even talk to in school because others would have made fun of him, all that bullshit that prevented him from hanging out with this other girl, which he says was a mistake because she's hilarious, making him laugh more than he ever has, and smart, way smarter than Steve, capable of cracking a top secret Russian code. What's genius about the setup of this scene is this. We are primed to feel that a different TV trope is about to come to fruition. That trope is that of the cool guy or girl realizing he loves the person he never noticed before, also known as the previously overlooked Paramour trope. utilized in series like Bones, films like Bridget Jones's Diary, Clueless, and The Princess Diaries. Something, however, is off, highlighted by the second genius element of the scene, its setting. A bathroom, where each character is in a different stall. Thus, we can see each character's face as Steve describes his love with increasingly obvious clues that the girl in question is Robin. This creates space for us to notice and wonder if the previously overlooked Paramour trope is about to happen. Why then does Robin look so conflicted and upset? Leading Steve, who can't see her and can only take in her silence after he has been so honest and vulnerable, to ask if Robin, quote, OD'd in there. When Robin answers that she is alive and exhales deeply, Steve pulls himself under the stall divider, putting them into the same space, eventually staring into one another's eyes, again edging us closer to the possibility that they are about to become one in a romantic sense. Instead, when asked by Steve what she thinks of this girl and this guy, Robin gets to deliver a truth of her own, saying the guy is on drugs, not thinking straight, that he doesn't even know this girl, and if he did know her, really know her, he wouldn't even want to be her friend. Which alarms Steve, who says, no way is that true. Robin doubles down, saying, quote, listen, to me, it shocked me to my core, but I like you, I really like you, but I'm not like your other friends, and I'm not like Nancy Wheeler. There's a dark subtext here, Robin saying that underneath it all, there's something so wrong with me you couldn't possibly want to be my friend, which is important subtext given the 80s setting of the show and what being queer would mean at a time like that. In response, Steve practically highlights and underscores the previously overlooked Paramour trope by saying, that's exactly why I like you. As in Robin, you are not like the other girls. This is where the subversion that's been hinted at by Robin's expression, previous dialogue, and all the subtext finally comes to light. She retells a story to Steve she's told previously about being obsessed with him in a shared class back in high school, telling him it was not because Robin had a crush on Steve, but because she had a crush on a classmate named Tammy, who only ever seemed interested in Steve, leading Robin to go home and, quote, scream into her pillow. It takes Steve a second, but then he gets it. Robin is gay, which she never actually says. Thus, the trope has been subverted. A new micro-tension is born. How will Steve react? Will he become the thwarted, angry lover type? But no, we get another surprise instead. Steve chooses to make a joke, which sounds cruel, except it isn't. He starts calling Tammy a dud, a pretty girl, sure, but with stupid ambitions, like wanting to run off to Nashville to be a singer when she can't even sing, prompting him to begin mocking Tammy singing, leaving space for Robin to adjust to his implicit promise that nothing is going to change between them as friends, and then join him in his mock singing, a comedic, cathartic high interrupted with the scene's button, the younger kids finding them pissed that they've run off while high on their own when they're all trying to evade Russian detection. In short, surprise drives the scene. Some might have guessed that Robin was queer, but this isn't information the audience explicitly had previously, so the narrative does want us to think Steve and Robin's bond is heading in a romantic direction. Instead, we get a beautiful scene of platonic love, made all the more poignant by that 80s setting in which queer identity was much less accepted than it was today. We could even look at the character of Steve as part of the surprise, and that when we first met Steve back in season 1, he was, as Robin calls him in this scene, a total douchebag, someone we think we're going to hate, only to watch as his interactions with the younger kids change him and turn him into a guy who's generally beloved by audiences. Something Stranger Things is particularly good at, taking a character who is one-dimensional and seen in a negative light, and letting them evolve or reveal facets of themselves that turn them into a fan favorite. Think Eddie in season 4. That Steve is so altered he can be the guy who is into Robin, who can tell her he likes her with vulnerability and hope, who can then respond with humor and implicit love and support when she rejects him and tells him the truth, is a testament to a series that wants us to care about character, sees character and character relationships as crucial to the narrative, as emblematic of its core theme, that the outcasts and their love for one another are what saves the day time and time again, even as the dark things of the Upside Down target the lonely, the bullied, and the misunderstood. That's a great coming out scene. That's great TV writing. Writing that's full of surprise, that subverts our expectations, that points us back to what the show wants us to come away with, what it is trying to say about our world, even as it's entertaining us. Do you have any favorite coming out scenes? Any you think are examples of great writing? Is surprise a part of the scene, or is it something else that makes it so great? Do you think we're going to get another great coming out scene in the final season of Stranger Things via the character of Will? Let me know in the comments, and please subscribe to Queer Cinema Catchup. Check out the monthly video essay series and our regular episodes, which are released every other Thursday. Send us an email at queercinemacatchup@gmail.com. And thanks so much for listening. Please tune in next month for a new video essay. Bye.